All right. You put this dumb thing in every time. Okay, who cares? Hey, you want to go see Glorious Sons? They're coming back to Cleveland from L.A. They're on the Glory Tour with special guest, the Velveteers. It's going to happen Wednesday night, the 20th. That's not far off, right? It's a week from this Wednesday. Right around the corner here at the House of Blues. Tickets, info, all that at Ticketmaster.com. 2 tickets here for you. Being caller 10. Good luck. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
Some people say our country is more divided than ever. But don't ask him. He sucks at math. Alan Cox on 100.7 WMMS.
We got a live YouTube stream back.
Yeah.
You're watching at AlanCoxShow.com. We had a technical meltdown today that put us on the air very, very late. And so we just got the live stream back if you're watching there. Thanks in no small part, by the way, not only to our own Keith Kennedy and the engineers here at iHeart Cleveland, but to Heffy Gibnibber, who is our assistant in the video department today. The meltdown so egregious earlier today that Heffy had to be kind of deputized, had to be absorbed into that group of people trying to solve the problem. So he or she was late to the proceedings today. And so appreciative of the assistance there of Heffy Gibnibber. So thank you, sir or madam, for your invaluable expertise. A little bit of Queen Latifah singing the anthem last night.
Dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming.
At the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars were so gallantly there, as the rockets were there, and the twilight's last gleaming, and the rockets' red glare were so gallantly there. The stripes were all there, and the rockets were there.
Worst 9/11 tribute ever. Worst. So offensive to the men and women who
I like it.
gave their lives there. Well, anyway, yeah, so a very dramatic rendition. You know, when you get the tap on the shoulder to do the 9/11 thing right before a big football game. Queen Latifah, of course, from New Jersey. And so they're over there at MetLife Stadium in her home state, that Cowboys-Giants game. Speaking of which, how about them Browns?
Hey.
I clicked into that. I know Bill's not a fan. The Chargers lost in spectacular fashion.
Oh, did they? Being a Chargers fan feels more like being a Browns fan than being a Browns fan does these days.
Yeah. Oh, you picked the wrong time to jump ship, boy.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I'll live.
But a few days after Cincinnati makes Joe Burrow the highest paid NFL player of all time, he bends over and grabs ankle for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, that's his rate, though. Even if he does a bad job, they still got to pay him that.
That's the thing. Yeah, $219 million out of that whole nut is guaranteed. So who cares what happens? If you're that guy, you've got a great life from here on out. But you want to be a competitor and you want to win games.
It's the first time in 19 years they won a home opener.
Is that true?
Yep. Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns?
2004.
Since 2004.
Wow.
It's the first time they've won the home opener in 19 years.
Well, it's not a record as long as that, but I was surprised at how long it felt since I'd heard all those Victory Monday clips we played on WMMS. Yeah. It's a Victory Monday on the buzzer. You know, we had our deep voice guy do those, and they're probably very old, and they don't get used very often. So that's what caught my ears. I was like, wow, certainly not 19 years, but I can't remember the last time I heard a Victory Monday sweeper there is what we call them in the biz.
I was watching that game with a bunch of comedians in Cincinnati, and they're all cheering for the Bengals, of course. And every time Nick Chubb gets the ball, they're just freaking out. I'm like, you guys, that's the thing. Like, you can't stop Nick Chubb.
You can't.
He's
You
just
never will.
the best.
And that's the thing. I want to watch football again. I didn't watch it at all last year, and then seeing the highlights of what Nick Chubb was doing, who I love, my boyfriend Nick Chubb. I also really like Myles Garrett too.
Hasta la vista, baby! Nick Chubb touchdown!
You can
And
watch
it
it.
upsets me because it's like I want to watch the game without supporting them.
Ooh,
That's kinda what I did.
scared, Chubby
You can
Wubby.
separate the art from the artist. Why are you
No.
stuck on that?
I don't want the Browns to make any money off me, but I want to watch the game. That's where I'm mad at the front office.
We know they're not going to make money off of you by watching the game on television.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
you have to watch it on YouTube now?
No.
No, it's
Go to
on
a
network
bar.
It's
television.
on like YouTube TV or something. Anyway,
That's if you get the pass, but still, like local games, you can
they're
watch
still
for
on
free.
regular TV.
Yeah, because I don't have YouTube TV. I was clicking around and the game was on.
I thought they made money off of views.
If it's YouTube TV, I'm sure they do. But if you're
But
watching
regular CBS they don't make money off of how many people are tuned in.
well,
No.
There's
The-
ratings, but
That's
you're
what I
not.
mean.
But the
well,
YouTube thing that is the NFL Sunday ticket, and you have to pay for
that's
that.
a subscription.
That's a
Okay,
subscription.
that aside, if I were to watch a Browns game on CBS or whoever plays them, they
Well,
don't make
yes,
money
okay,
off of that.
Well, okay.
Not specifically.
In the strictest sense of ratings translating into advertising, that's what our business model is too, then yes, theoretically. But if you were not to patronize any of their advertisers, then they wouldn't be making any money off you
Okay.
indirectly. Now, again,
Then I'm going to start watching again.
I was gonna
'cause
say,
I miss it. I miss it a
you
lot.
clearly want to watch,
I
and
do.
so there's no amount of mental gymnastics that's going to keep you from wanting to watch.
Right. But I
was-
haven't.
I
I didn't
was-
watch it all last season in protest of them signing Deshaun Watson.
Well, you know he still plays for him.
I know that,
Yeah.
and I'm saying.
So it was the signing you were upset about,
No,
not the
I'm
continued
still upset.
employment. Yeah.
I'm still upset
who
about it, but I
cares?
want to watch it because I miss football and I like watching Nick Chubb specifically and Myles Garrett. Those are the two people that I really watch for.
Well, Pound Cake doesn't care, but
At
he
all.
also
but
is not.
you haven't been a Browns fan your whole life.
And you're not a
Doesn't matter.
sports fan in general. Like
And
you
you
don't have
love-
skin in that game.
But I'm
people being just completely like you love.
You like garbage people.
But I have to put this in perspective. I
Your
changed it-
perspective is you love garbage people.
But what I'm saying is, I'm not necessarily a football fan nor Browns fan. So yes, obviously in this situation I don't care. But I changed it to if it was a concert that I wanted to see, and I got front row tickets, and they're like, but they did something heinous. The music didn't do anything to me. The art didn't do anything to me. The person,
But
okay.
but their art is
Okay.
all from their psyche. The art is their creation.
So you can't ever watch that '70s show anymore
Hey,
because
turn your
Danny
camera on.
I'm not saying not to do anything.
My camera is
But
on.
you're not going to convince a lot of people by saying, "Well, I just separate the art from the artist."
but-
you see what Kutcher and Kunis are going
But
through
answer
right
my
now.
question, because so they did that. You can't ever watch an Ashton Kutcher movie. You can't ever watch that.
I would
70s
never
show.
watch one in the first place.
Yeah, you got to see one first. Too.
Well,
That's not going to be any huge sacrifice to my life.
I'm sure any product that you use,
Somebody's done
the
something bad.
CEO
I
has
understand
done
that.
something. So you're being ridiculous.
But okay,
It's
you're not being
It's
ridiculous.
not ridiculous. You either do something or you don't do it. This whole like, well, everything sucks. I mean, that's a super huge cop out.
Why can't you
That's a
just-
super easy way to not ever have to plant your flag in anything. Ashton Kutcher didn't do anything. Mila Kunis didn't do anything. They were friends with this dude who's going away for raping girls.
But
And-
they stuck up for
But
him
with that being said,
I know they wrote character letters because he was.
after he was found guilty.
I thought it was before, and they
No.
read them before the sentencing.
No,
Oh.
he was found guilty.
It was to get
and
a
then
more
they wrote,
lenient
yes,
sentence,
Then they
yeah.
wrote these letters like,
Oh,
"Hey,
it was
take
before
it
the
easy on
it
him."
was before the conviction, but
Yes,
But I don't.
before the sentencing, after the conviction.
Yes. So they knew
Well-
he was guilty of these things when they wrote those letters.
The real winner in this whole thing is Topher Grace, because back in the day when that 70s show was on the air, everybody was giving him a hard time because he wasn't partying with the rest of the crew. He was kind of standoffish. And they were like, oh, this guy thinks he's too good for everybody. And he's like, it wasn't that. It just, I worked and went home. I wasn't like a party guy. He's the only dude now that doesn't have any Danny Masterson stink on him from that show. Although I don't know if we've heard from Fez. But, these two, they got to do a whole YouTube video. Hey, we're really sorry. He was our friend. People can do, we didn't know, and whatever.
And yes,
So
Pancake,
fine. I mean, you know.
I know people can do there's horrible things that are happening all the time, and you can't pick if you want to abstain from everything, you can. But there's also decisions that were made to put this guy in Cleveland and I just go, okay, well, if you're going to do that, I'm not going to support this team.
But
It's one thing. It's one thing to discover something that has happened, which you're right can happen. Things can surface at any time. It's another thing to have a mountain of evidence that something awful has happened at the hands of one particular person,
That
and
they're currently in litigation for.
ignore all of it.
And I can't see that guy score touchdowns and go, hooray for him, because I can't stop thinking about the things that he's accused of. That's my personal stance on it. A lot of people can. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are separating that. But for me, I can't do it, and I won't do it.
Well, and to take it a step further than that, not just him being a piece of
Mary's
trash.
willing to do it now.
No. What I'm saying is the thing that's kept me from watching all of last year and yesterday, while I was traveling yesterday, but is that I'm mad at the front office for spending that amount of money on somebody with this much controversy around them when they could be paying their star players more. The people who are like your Nick Chubbs and your Myles Garretts. Instead of spending $250 million on someone like Deshaun Watson, why not show people who've been there for you for years a little bit of appreciation? You know, and it's not like those guys are making chump change, but that was my big thing. Obviously, he's a piece of garbage. It made me very upset that they did that even to begin with, and then to pay him what they did.
Right.
I mean, it was just a poor decision all around.
And my football team, the football team that I cheer for, is not more important than other things in my life. So it's okay for something that is entertaining me to go away if it means I have to make a moral decision. Other people, it's more important to them. For me, it's not that important. Like I grew up loving the Browns, loved them until they got Deshaun Watson. Once they did, I don't see them the same way. I never will again.
And Bill's a big Easton Stick guy, so he's gonna root for him.
Yes, the backup quarterback of the Chargers is what got me
Yes,
cheering for them. But
listen, he's on the come up. His glow up's not far off.
I've made the declaration that I'm a Chargers fan, but it's not the same. I don't have the same investment in them as I did with the Browns all those years. So now I'm just more of a general guy that likes to watch football, but I'm not nearly as invested as I used to be.
I think the problem that a lot of people had with that too was exactly what you say, which is it was a declaration, right? If somebody just said it, that's one thing. Bill had the scrolls.
Yeah.
And he
I had a town crier.
Yep, he was out
He
here
was
in public
ringing a
square.
bell.
Yep.
Had a tri-corner hat.
It was a hear ye situation, and he was out there ringing the bell, and it was a full-on declaration.
I do think it's very official.
But you also don't want people to misunderstand your position. And so a declaration was very important. You want to hear this? But did you hear this Ashton Kutcher thing?
Yes.
Mila Kunis?
So bad.
She's like, no
It's
makeup
so
at all.
bad.
They look like they just woke up. Yeah, but what do you do?
But here's the thing.
I
If
mean-
you're a professional actor, you could try a little harder than this. Mila is very, very clearly... play it first. I mean, go ahead.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way.
Which is a way of saying these letters were never supposed to be made public.
We didn't know you guys were going to hear about this.
Well,
But again, two things can be true because what they wrote in these letters were he was a great performer and a great person and a great dad and all this. Like, yes, and you can still be raping women if you're doing all of those things. Two things can be true. The way that they knew him was how they knew him. You know, the Jimmy Fallon thing, the reason that some people like to keep a stink on him is because of that whole Horatio Sands situation. You know, Horatio Sands was a guy that was with on SNL at the same time. And it kind of went away, But Horatio Sands was a guy who got blown up for like grooming girls backstage or something. And he was part of that Jimmy Fallon crew when they were there at SNL. So people were coming after Jimmy Fallon like, how come you didn't say anything? And blah, blah, blah. Because these are just people that are coworkers of yours at the time, you know? I mean, in 10 years, if we found out something awful that Pound Cake had done, and they were coming at us going, hey, could you write character letters? I mean, this is a bad example because, of course, to a person, we would all say no, thank you. But we would.
CYA.
It's not even that. It's not even covering your ass. You don't know everything a person is doing.
That's for sure.
Okay, but let's use that scenario. Cody is convicted of rape.
That's different.
And Cody's mom says, Alan, will you please write a character letter?
Right.
You're going to say no.
I would say no.
That's what I mean.
Oh, I would say yes, but you're going to get years added.
They don't say you have to support
what kind
the
of character letter?
Right.
That's right. Yeah, so these letters that Ashton Kutcher, Mila and Christina Ricci is explaining why she wrote a letter, right? All these people are like, yeah, well, I worked with him. He's a great guy. He helped raise money for 9/11 firefighters and blah,
fraudulent.
blah. It's not fraudulent. That's how they knew him. It's not a character letter about how this guy's my favorite rapist. Like, the timing of it there, though, I didn't realize that it was before. I thought that they wrote it before anything. I thought they wrote it during the trial.
No, because then they wouldn't have to apologize for it.
Yeah.
Well,
they wouldn't have to say I'm sorry if they were just sticking up for their friend before.
But people would have people want everyone to apologize all the time. So no matter what point in the timeline they had done it, retroactively, people would have been like, see, but this is the person they knew. They didn't know that the guy was going out and drugging people. There's this notion we have that people are fundamentally good or fundamentally bad, and nobody is that.
But what you're saying right now would make sense if they didn't write the letters after.
The timing is not
after
good.
The conviction.
Timing's not good, right? So everybody's done something nice for somebody at some point, and people say, "Well, you can't judge somebody by the worst thing they've ever done." No, you can't, but you also can't judge them by the nicest thing they've ever done. So, yeah, I guess I was not aware that was the timeline of these letters. But there's a whole lot of people, except Topher Grace, who were part of that show. But didn't Red and Kitty write letters too? Like Kurtwood Smith wrote letters, and
but he called him a dumbass.
Well, yeah.
No, I don't know.
I think just about every person on that cast wrote letters. And yeah.
Guess we're not getting a season 2 of that 90s show then. Oh, no.
Oof. Oh, no. Terrible. Okay, I got a break here. I'll have those Great White Slaughter tickets for you later on. If that's your vibe, they're coming through to do a show. If you want to text, I'll see those. 351